playoff games are in the books. The first round playoff games are officially in the books. Notre Dame took care of business against Indiana. Penn State took care of business against SMU. Texas took care of business against Clemson. And that game was pretty good, might I add. Clemson fought back, but Texas was just a better team. Ohio State. Wow. You know what, everyone? I'm going to keep this a bean right now. I'm going to keep it a bean right now. I'm not really, as a Georgia fan, speaking as a Georgia fan, I'm not concerned at all about Notre Dame. To me, they're the up north version of Georgia Tech. Overhyped northern version of Georgia Tech. That's what Notre Dame is to me. Not really concerned about Penn State. They have some flaws. SMU shot themselves in the foot a lot yesterday. And a lot had to do with the weather, and Jennings was just a deer in headlights. The crowd, shout out to the crowd in Happy Valley. Texas, we've beaten them twice. So that's that. Not concerned about Arizona State. Not concerned about Boise State. Boise State is one-dimensional. Arizona State just doesn't have the level of talent to compete with my Georgia Bulldogs for 60 minutes. I'm not even really concerned about Oregon. Oregon has some flaws. As great as Oregon is, and I'm all the ESPN hype crew tries to hype them up like they're this juggernaut of a team, hyping them up like they're the 2019 LSU Tigers, and they're nowhere near that level. They're not as dominant as a lot of people are making them out to be. But there is only one team that's left in these playoffs as a Georgia fan that I'm concerned about. And I'm going to keep this a beam with you here today. This team right here, everyone, this team right here, this team up north in Columbus, Ohio, and I'm going to look dead in the camera when I say this. This team, the Ohio State Buckeyes, and what I saw, how they did Tennessee last night, this team scares the shit out of me. I'm not even going to front. I'm not even going to lie. This team scares the shit out of me. Get your popcorn ready. Armando Black. And I'm going to explain to you why I feel the way I feel. This is the Dog Call. Good afternoon, good afternoon. Happy Sunday, everyone. Happy Sunday, everyone, and welcome to the Dog Call. I am your host, Armando Black. Salute to everyone. Salute, 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 salute. Hope everyone is having a blessed and wonderful Sunday here today. All right, so the playoffs kicked off this weekend. The college football playoffs kicked off this weekend, the first round. I'm hearing a lot of people whining and complaining about the playoffs or whatever. Listen, the first of all, the only people that are complaining are people that are Tide fans, Ole Miss fans, Miami fans, and South Carolina fans. Those are the only four fan bases that are complaining about this playoffs, the first round playoffs. Oh, there were blowouts. There were blowouts. Yeah, get rid of the system. It's terrible. It's terrible. Um, like we've never had blowouts in the 14 format. Let me fresh your memory, everyone. Let's go back to year one, where Ohio State blew out Oregon in the inaugural playoff season. In the championship game, Ohio State blew out Oregon. Let's go to the year after that, where Bama blew out Michigan State in the semifinals. Let's go to 2016, when Clemson blew out Ohio State in Scottsdale. Let's go to 2017, when Bama blew Clemson out down in New Orleans. Let's go to 2018, where Clemson blew out Notre Dame. He had two blowouts. That, to me, that 2018 playoff was the most boring playoff of them all because you had blowouts in both rounds. Clemson blew out Notre Dame in the semifinals, and Bama blew out Oklahoma in the semifinals. In the championship, Clemson blew out Bama in Santa Clara. That game was over with before halftime. But people want to complain about this weekend. Do I need to go a little further? 2019, LSU dropped damn near 60 points. I think they dropped 60 points on Oklahoma in the Peach Bowl. Blew them out. That game, that championship game, to me, wasn't even close. LSU, it was clear that LSU was just the better team, and they beat the brakes off Clemson in the championship game. 2020, Bama blew out Ohio State in the championship game. 2021, the semifinals, both were blowouts. Bama blew Cincinnati out, and Georgia blew Michigan out. 2022, TCU, my Georgia Bulldogs, dropped 65 points on TCU in the championship game. Yeah. 2023 was a little bit more competitive, but that championship game wasn't. I mean, it was clear that Michigan dominated the entire 60 minutes. So all of this whining and complaining about the first round playoffs, I think is just much ado about nothing. What else was on TV? I really don't too much care for the NFL. Like some people may, watching the Kansas City Chiefs and the Houston Texans. The only people that really care about the NFL are most of the NFL fans are up north. Down here in the South, this is college football country. We love college football down here. You give us a choice to watch a college football game on a Saturday versus an NFL game on a Saturday. Us Southerners, we're going to choose college football all the time, all day, every day. If we could, we would watch college football. We would choose college football over the NFL. Now, I can't speak for people up in New York or Chicago or Boston. That's where your NFL lovers are at. So I don't look. I sat there, I watched the entire Penn State SMU game, and I don't have a dog in the fight because I am a college football fan. Were there blowouts? Yes, there were blowouts. But it's football, it's college football. I was entertained. It felt good seeing the Penn State, Texas, and Ohio State playing a game in their home stadiums in late December. Usually this time of year, they're playing in bowl games. They're not playing in the Horseshoe. They're not playing in Happy Valley. They're not playing in Darrell K. Royal Stadium. Or in South Bend. That was something different. And I am glad that I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. For those of you that are complaining, Bama fans, let me just say this to you. Beat Vandy. Beat Vandy. Beat Oklahoma. Simple. Ole Miss, don't lose at home to Kentucky. A 1-7 SEC school. Don't lose at home to Kentucky. South Carolina, win the games when you facing the big boys like Bama and LSU. You got to win those games because that's what these committees are going to measure you by. What you do in games, in big games like that. And I know you had a tough schedule, but you did not win the games that you were supposed to win. So all of this bitching and whining about the committee, we had blowouts yesterday. We had Notre Dame. No, first of all, Notre Dame did not blow Indiana out. The final score was 27-17. That's not a damn blowout. In my opinion, there were only 2 blowouts this weekend. Penn State, SMU, and Ohio State blew out Tennessee. Now, you can make a case and say, well, SMU had no business in there. Well, they did what they had to do in that ACC championship game. They took care of business. They didn't lose to an inferior opponent this year. They didn't have a bad loss like Ole Miss, South Carolina, and Bama. The three of you have bad losses. Miami, you had a bad loss. You choked against Georgia Tech and you choked against Syracuse. Your head coach, if you're going to be mad, Miami fans, be mad at your scary ass head coach, Cristobal, for deciding to kick a field goal instead of giving his kids an opportunity to win the damn game and going for it on 4th down. So stop all this whining and complaining. And the only people, like I said, the only people that's doing it are people that's Tide fans, Ole Miss fans, Miami fans, and South Carolina fans. The rest of us are not complaining. Indiana did what they were supposed to do to get there. They lost. They lost. They did not get blowed out. Not in my book. I don't consider a 10-point loss a blowout. In what world do we live in where 10 points is considered a damn blowout? That's a touchdown in the field goal last time I checked. Clemson hung with Texas. They gave up a couple of explosive plays. Other than that, Clemson played Texas tight. Hell, I've listened in on some Texas podcasters this morning. Even they said that there were some things that Texas needs to clean up. Because if the ball would have bounced a little differently, Clemson probably would have came back and won that game. Same thing goes for Indiana. If Cignetti instead of punting the ball late in the fourth quarter, if he would have just gave Curtis Rourke, a chance to win the game for him, the outcome probably would have been different. The real blowout happened to an SEC school, to be honest with you. The biggest embarrassment, the most egregious loss, in my opinion, was Tennessee getting their ass handed to them by Ohio State. Now, does Ohio State scare me? Yes, they do. But there's no way in hell that they would do that to my Georgia Bulldogs. Tennessee did a lot of this. The preparation was not there. The offense, the receivers were not on the same page as Nico. The offensive line was not on the same page. I don't know what the hell Hyper has been doing. You've been so busy doing interviews. Hyper and the players doing all these interviews. Every time you turn around, they on SEC Nation, SEC Morning. Meanwhile, Ohio State was in the trenches, blood, sweat, and tears, getting ready for last night's game. They wanted it more. They were the more hungrier team. Now, you get a team like Ohio State that's loaded with that much talent, an angry team that has just been embarrassed by their arch-hated rival, Michigan. A flag planted in their stadium. Coach has been thrown under the bus for the last 3 weeks. People have been laughing at the Ohio State fan base. Hell, you got people, we had a discussion yesterday about what would happen if they lose. I mean, I was ready to put prime time in Columbus, Ohio as the new head coach. Kind of remind me of what everybody was doing to my Georgia Bulldogs before we played Texas in Austin. They were just pouring dirt on top of us. And that's what everybody did. They were pouring dirt all on top of Ohio State. And they came out fighting. They came out fighting. So I say that to say this. Ohio State was the better team. Tennessee didn't want it as bad as Ohio State wanted it. And all this talk about bad draw this, bad draw that. I mean, Tennessee and Ohio State, they were like 8 and 9. Tennessee did not come with that level of intensity that they had against Bama. And any Tennessee fan that will be honest with themselves, they would agree with me. They did not come out there with that same intensity against Ohio State like they came out against Bama. But they did a lot of talking. The fans did a lot of talking online. Talking. They tried to take over Ohio Stadium. Gimmicks don't win championships. Gimmicks don't win big games like that. But I still stand by what I said. Out of all the teams that are left on this bracket, only one team concerns me, and that's those Ohio State Buckeyes. This team is hungry. This team is focused. This team is for real. And any Georgia Bulldog fan that will have the audacity to sit there and say they're not worried about the Ohio State Buckeyes, you full of crap. You full of crap. This team right here is to be taken very, very serious. I think this is the one team that would give our Georgia Bulldogs problems if we're not on top of our game. Now, as far as Notre Dame, I'll address them in the next couple of days. It's going to be a good game, but we're not Indiana. You see, what they did to Indiana, it's like taking candy from a baby. When they line up down in that Superdome against our Georgia Bulldogs, it's going to be like trying to take a steak from a caveman. Everyone, I want to thank you all for joining me, coming out and joining me here on this Sunday, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Please be safe out there. Hey, enjoy the rest of your holidays. Be safe. Love you all. Make sure you hit that like button. Share this video. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed, and also hit that notification bell so you can get notified for all the great content that we have coming up. All right, so everyone, hey, look, listen, all this complaining about the college football playoffs, I'm not complaining, because listen, on any other year, we didn't have this to look forward to in late December. Matchups like Tennessee and Ohio State, Texas and Clemson, Notre Dame and Indiana. We didn't have matchups like this to look forward to. There would be mediocre bowl games, usually this time of year, December the 20th, 21st. So I don't understand where all of this complaining is coming from, because as far as the blowouts, we had blowouts during the 14 format. Hell, we had blowouts in the BCS championship games during the BCS era. Remember Nebraska and Florida? Tommy Frazier, what the Nebraska Cornhuskers did to that 95 Florida Gators team. So stop the whining and complaining. Stop the whining and complaining. Get your popcorn ready and enjoy the ride. And all of you fan bases that your team didn't make it, get better, come back in 2025 and do better. Don't lose to inferior opponents. And maybe, just maybe, your team will be in next year's bracket. With that being said, thank you all. I'm Armando Black, and this has been the Dog Call. And until next time, like I always say, take care of yourselves and each other. One last thing, forever and always, go Dogs! Sick 'em! Woo, 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 woo. I'm Armando Black, and this has been the Dog Call.